I've been a journalist for 16 years. I've never said these words before. Yellowstone has erupted.
This is what the North American continent looks like 72 hours after the eruption. Wyoming has been wiped off the map. Idaho, Montana, and the entire central United States are completely buried under grey volcanic ash. There is only one cause. Now let's go back to 72 hours before it all began. At this very moment, thousands of tourists from around the world are visiting Yellowstone National Park. Geysers shoot powerful streams of water into the sky, and children laugh and take photos. But 8 kilometers beneath that ground lies a massive magma chamber, 4 times the size of Seoul. This chamber has erupted 3 times over the past 2.1 million years. And now, the 4th eruption begins. By the end of this video, you will never look at the ground beneath your feet the same way again. A magnitude 9.5 earthquake strikes simultaneously. That's exactly 30 times the energy of the 2011 Great East Japan earthquake. 160 kilometers in every direction. The instant annihilation zone. An area roughly the distance from New York to Philadelphia is erased from the face of the earth in just 1 second. Hard to believe, but this is not an exaggeration. The temperature of the magma column is 1200 degrees Celsius. That's twice the melting point of steel, approaching the surface temperature of the sun. Pyroclastic flows pour in every direction at 700 kilometers per hour. Faster than a bullet, they devour everything in their path. The temperature inside a pyroclastic flow is 800 degrees Celsius. A human can survive inside it for only 0.3 seconds. There is nowhere to run, nowhere on Earth. 30 minutes after the eruption, the pyroclastic flow reaches Salt Lake City. A city of 2 million people vanishes in half an hour. 2 hours after the eruption, the pyroclastic flow reaches Denver. Right now, 3 million people live there. Even if you try to escape by plane, volcanic ash solidifies instantly inside the engines, bringing the aircraft to a complete stop within seconds. Highways are completely paralyzed within 10 minutes of the eruption, jammed with millions of vehicles. The escape routes themselves disappear. This is the first trap. If it were you, where would you run? No matter what you choose, the outcome doesn't change. The very attempt to escape drives you faster and deeper into danger. At this moment, there is nothing you can do. From this point on, these are projections based on scientists' simulations, but these numbers are anything but trivial. 6 hours after the eruption, volcanic ash clouds begin rapidly covering the skies over the entire central United States. Across Kansas, Nebraska and Oklahoma, volcanic ash begins piling up to 30 centimeters thick. Wait. Look at that number again. 30 centimeters doesn't sound like much, does it? It means ash rising to an adult's shin height, and this ash hardens like concrete. Volcanic ash is not light like snow. The moment it absorbs moisture, it hardens like concrete. When it piles on rooftops, 80% of ordinary homes simply collapse. You thought that was the worst of it? We're not even close. Volcanic ash contains silicon dioxide microparticles. These particles can't be fully filtered even by masks, and they directly destroy lung tissue. Breathing this air for just 30 minutes without a mask causes irreversible damage to the lungs. The very act of breathing becomes poison. A world where even breathing is a luxury. 12 hours after the eruption, 60% of the US power grid goes down simultaneously. Volcanic ash piles on transmission lines, triggering cascading short circuits nationwide. When electricity is cut, water pumps stop. When water is cut, hospitals shut down. When hospitals shut down, what comes next is exactly what you're imagining. But the real problem is something else entirely. The United States is the world's largest food exporter. It supplies 38% of the world's corn and 14% of its wheat. Most of that farmland is concentrated in the Central Plains, now completely buried under volcanic ash. A single eruption severs the planet's food supply chain. 48 hours after the eruption, grain exchanges around the world simultaneously halt trading. Asia, Africa, and Europe plunge into a food crisis all at once. This is not just America's problem.
I had 30 seconds, that's all. The ground just opened. I grabbed nothing. I didn't even know what to grab. My wife was still inside.
A former Yellowstone National Park ranger, a man who protected that land for 20 years. 72 hours have passed since the eruption. As the terror of the pyroclastic flows subsides, a deeper, quieter horror begins. Sulfur dioxide that rose into the stratosphere slowly envelops the entire planet and begins reflecting sunlight. When Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines erupted in 1991, the global average temperature dropped by 0.5 degrees Celsius. That effect lasted for 2 full years. Yellowstone's eruption volume is 1,000 times that of Pinatubo. That means not a 0.5 degree drop, but a potential plunge of up to 10 degrees. This is where it gets real. The temperature difference between the last ice age and today is only 6 degrees. The temperature would drop even more dramatically than that in just a few months. Humanity would enter an ice age at a speed never before experienced in all of human history. Scientists call this a volcanic winter. When sunlight is blocked, photosynthesis stops. When plants disappear, herbivores starve. Next come the carnivores, and then it's humanity's turn. The collapse of the food chain begins to shake the entire global ecosystem to its foundations within 3 months. No continent is spared. 6 months after the eruption, agriculture across the northern hemisphere effectively grinds to a halt. A year without summer has begun. No matter where you are, no matter what you do, you cannot escape this. Current science cannot predict the exact toll, but some simulations estimate over 3 billion deaths in the following decade. Survivors desperately begin gathering in underground bunkers, caves, and the few remaining warm regions near the equator. There, humanity preserves seeds, grows plants under artificial light, and learns to survive from scratch. 74,000 years ago, when the Toba supervolcano erupted in Indonesia, it is estimated that only a few thousand humans survived worldwide. We are the descendants of those very survivors. Humanity will not go extinct, but the civilization we take for granted will have to be rebuilt from the ground up. Can humanity endure this trial once more? History says yes, but the cost is beyond imagination. At this very moment, the magma beneath Yellowstone is actually moving. This is not a story about the distant future. The US Geological Survey monitors Yellowstone in real time, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Hundreds of seismometers are operating right now. If signs of an eruption are detected, warnings could be issued months to years in advance. But nature has always laughed at human predictions. I hope the scenario you saw today makes your everyday life look a little different. The things we take for granted are actually miracles. Breathing without thinking, eating without worry, the sun rising as it always does. Just for today, feel how precious this single day truly is. If you were inside those 72 hours, what would you grab first? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious. In the next episode, we trace the final signal of a passenger plane that vanished without a trace into the deep sea. This has been Earth Signal.